I would like to tell everyone this is TRIO's 4th annual alumni and professional panel, and we will have our introductions. I'll start with Alexis. State your name.
Okay, my name is Alexa. I graduated from ICC with an associate's in arts, and then I graduated from ISU with a bachelor's in arts, studying graphic design and then studying photography at ISU.
Demarco.
My name is Demarco Tillman. Went to North Central College, came back to ICC for my sophomore year, finished up at ICC, transferred back, where I graduated with a bachelor's degree in sociology with an emphasis on criminal justice, currently a firefighter.
My name is Megan. I graduated in 2014 from ICC with an associate's in science, and then I transferred to Bradley, where I graduated with a bachelor's in biology and I minored in chemistry, and now I'm a lab tech at the Ag Lab here in Peoria.
Hi, my name is Margaret or Margie Lawler. I graduated from Western Illinois University with my bachelor's in law enforcement administration, minor in security. Then I went on to graduate school at the University of Central Missouri. They've changed their name, so I have to take a pause, where I received my master's in College Student Personnel Administration. So I study students, stayed in the field, which is housing and residential life, for over 18 years. Lived on campus for 12 of those 18 years, and stepped away, came back, and here I am right now. I work here at ICC as the diverse faculty recruiter and our compliance officer for the college.
Hello, I'm Jon Davis Jr. I graduated from Bradley University in 1993, so I guess I'm the elder statesman here. I graduated actually last year with an associate's in fire science from ICC last year, so I could become a captain of the fire department. I've been on the job for 23, 24 years. That's it.
Okay. Alexis, we already know that you attended ICC. While you were here in the TRIO program, was there anything that stood out to you?
I think one thing that stood out for me is just the hand, as far as like everyone like as far as working with me, as far as transferring. It was very hands-on. It was it gave me basically good steps all the way through, and definitely felt me had me a little bit more comfortable when it came to transferring. So it wasn't really as hard as I thought it would be just doing it on my own.
DeMarco, did you have any comments?
Yes, actually, TRIO was huge for me because when I came from North Central College, I wanted to go back, and Sheila, and she can attest to that they helped me set up a schedule. They helped me get in contact with people who could help me transfer back in the future with enough credits to graduate without missing a beat. So it's kind of like I was at my university while I was here because of the way my schedule was set up. So I only took 4 years to graduate because of TRIO and the resources they had to help me get there.
Yeah, I agree with them. The advising is top-notch. You guys are amazing, and they just really made it personal, and they got to know you and what you needed, and they were your friend, so yeah.
Okay, now we'll talk about at the 4-year college. What do you think, talk about your experience starting, Alexis, at the 4-year at Illinois State.
Well, as far as the 4-year, it was definitely a bit of a difference as far as, from here to there. Whereas I would say at a junior level, you had, I'll say, a couple more projects or anything, especially with me being in the art program. You had a couple more projects. You only had like say about 2 weeks to prepare for them. But once you kind of get to a senior year, they expect a lot more from you. But they also give you more time because that way you have a lot more time to prepare and everything. So like, let's say my last semester, I had one class where I only had 2 projects, but I had like almost 2 months to prepare for both of them. And so that was definitely a big difference. Otherwise, as far as socializing, I was also involved in different groups or different clubs, which also helped me with networking. And even actually going through a group I was in, which was the photography club, is how I actually even got my photography. I was in an internship with the, what was it? It was the Office of Admissions, which actually help get students excited when they're about to transfer into ISU. And so that was really good too.
Did you have any comments?
Sure. ICC has a lot of resources. A university or a four-year college has a little bit more resources. Use them just like you'll use them here, and you'll be fine. I was involved here, and I was involved there with sports and extracurricular activities like Black Student Association and stuff like that. If you're involved, you won't miss a beat. If you're involved here and you go to a four-year college and be involved, sit in the front row seats, take notes, ask questions, go to your supervisors, go to your professors, and just ask them a question after class. They'll take notice in that, and they'll help you out a lot. That was my key, and I think that's a great thing to do, especially when you go to a bigger school.
Megan, did you have any comments?
No, I agree with that. You summed it up perfectly.
Okay.
I think for me, at a four-year college, my sophomore year, I got involved in housing and residential life. I was a resident assistant. I did that for 3 years, fell in love with housing residential life, went to graduate school as a graduate hall director. But in those 3 years in undergrad as a resident assistant, I learned leadership skills. I had the opportunity to grow as a paraprofessional, and I fell in love with the field in which I'm in today because I was an RA. And I would encourage anyone to live on campus when you're at a four-year college, although I think, Alexa, you had a different path with that, which was a very successful one for Alexa. But I am a strong proponent of living on campus and being involved on campus because that housing experience gets you connected and that sort of thing. And I would also encourage you to be a resident assistant because it's a great way to go. You can get some free housing. So much so I took it to that next level. I went to graduate school and I got free room, board, tuition, and fees, and the only thing I had to pay for in graduate school were my books. So I didn't have to take out a loan. If you have that path, if you have that leadership skills in any area, if it is a resident assistant, Greek affairs, or your trio, or wherever you can, athletics, get involved, be present, show your leadership skills, get out, be, I guess, purposeful on the college campus. Helps.
It's been a few years since I was in school, but a couple of things I'd like to try to point out. Number one, I wasn't the greatest student when I was in college, but not being the greatest student starting out doesn't mean you can't be successful and attain your goals. I think that's an important lesson to learn. Depending on where you come from, what you're going to do, there's a whole lot of things you're going to be able to get into. Some you will experience, some you don't. However, you should never get to a point where you feel like I'm too far behind, too bad to not be able to get up. College is a learning experience. Some experiences are good, some experiences are bad. But the most important thing to learn is about those things, is about the process of moving forward. No matter where you're at, where you're doing, what's going on, you want to always try to keep moving forward and stay ever forward. One of the most important things that I learned about college, and I'm sure everyone here will be able to attest to this, I didn't have this when I came to school, time management. Mm-hmm. When you're in high school, when you're younger, you just don't really understand that. College is really about time management. And there's much more time than you have available, but you just don't know how to manage it yet. So when you get to college, you want to go to college, focus on that. How to manage your time to accomplish whatever goals you want to do. You know, Tillman plays sports, whatever activities you want to do. There's time for everything, but you have to be able to manage that time. And once you manage your time, school becomes a lot easier. You're able to decide what goes where, and then you can start fitting the boxes. Secondly, I would encourage anybody to not get discouraged with change. I came to Bradley and I started out as an engineering major. In fact, I've only got 5 hours left to finish my engineering degree. But I wound up graduating with a degree in psychology through a series of events that happened in my life. And that's okay. When you first go to school, you may not know exactly what you want to do. And that's okay. You know, sometimes in our society, we always get focused on you got to be A, B, C, and D. But this is the time you have to change. This is the time to grow, to find yourself. You may come in and say, I want to be a math major, and start taking Calc 1, 2, and 3, and realize, I hate derivatives and integrals. So then you change to psychology, and maybe you might not like that, and then you may do something else. But that's okay. Take the time to make those choices, because once you get out there in the real world, it's much more difficult to make those changes. So if you can find out and figure out a path that you want to like, and if you don't like it, don't be afraid to change. This is the time to change now when you're this age, When you get older, you get kids, you get, a job, a different type of job, family. Change is not as easy. So if you get to college and you thought you wanted to be something else and you figure out, I ain't really liking that, don't be afraid to change. Talk to counselors. Most teachers, most counselors, if you approach them and are, sincere, they will really work with you. So those two things I really like to emphasize. Time manage it, and don't be afraid to change when you get there, because it's not going to end the way you think it is.
Okay. Now we're going to talk about your present employer. You'll state your job title, discuss some of your job duties and experience in the workforce. Starting, Alexa, dealing with your particular job.
Okay, well, while I do photography on the side as far as like freelance, I also do work for a company called Bella Baby Photography as a newborn photographer, and I work at the hospitals here in Peoria. When I usually check in with the moms, usually like I would say about 10 to 24 hours after the baby's born, I go check in with them. I ask them if they're interested in having a photo shoot for the baby. It's a free process that we give for them. And so if they're interested, I come back, kind of give them some time to either say nurse the baby, or they say they want to have more outfits for them. We do the pictures in the room, and then I go edit, and I come back and show them pictures the same day. And usually afterwards, they do it by the photos, but there's no obligation by that day of. They can wait either the next day or even next 2 weeks or even up to a year. And regardless if they decide to buy that day or not, they still have those photos, and that's for them to buy and keep. And so I think that's one thing that I love, just providing for different families there too.
Okay.
And so after I graduated from North Central College, I got a job working at the Juvenile Peoria Detention Center. And it was helping the community, helping kids who are in jail or the detention center. They were in a detention center. And I helped them by, being a provider, giving them knowledge, trying to help them stay in line for when they do get out of jail. I recently quit that job, and about 9 months ago, I was blessed with the opportunity to work for the Peoria Fire Department, doing the exact same thing in a different manner, though. This time, I'm out there in the public, where I'm a public eye, where I help in medical situations. So if someone's having a problem, we respond just like the paramedics. Or if there's fire, we suppress that fire. And it's the best job I've ever had, because I'm around great leaders like JD over here, Captain Davis, and people who can teach you about life and who can teach you how to be a better person. So as a Peoria firefighter, currently, that's what I'm doing, helping Peoria be great.
Okay, Megan.
Thank you for what you do.
Appreciate it.
I don't do anything spectacular like that. I'm a physical science technician at the Ag Lab here in Peoria, so we're part of the USDA. My unit focuses on taking bio-based materials like agriculture waste and converting them to something potentially useful. So we work with starches and sugars, and one of the projects that we just published was turning sugar into polyurethane, so plastic, which is really cool. And we also focus on green chemistry, so taking things that we know how to make already and making them in a way that's more environmentally friendly. So that's what I do. That's it.
That sounds amazing.
Yes.
Plastic.
I know. It was awesome.
That's
So that's made
important.
out of sugar? I
Yeah.
can eat it? No.
No, you cannot eat it.
What? Sugar. That is amazing. I am your diverse faculty recruiter here at ICC, and what my job is to incorporate more diversity in the classroom in terms of your instructors. So I'm out in the community recruiting diverse faculty instructors for you, so that your instructors reflect who we are as a population, our growing population. So we have a strong initiative here at the college to increase diversity, and so my job is challenging, it's fun, it's forever growing and amazing. And also I have the opportunity to serve as your compliance officer should you have a complaint of discrimination based on age, your race, your military status, gender, as well as sexual harassment and sexual assault should you have an incident on the campus, in the classroom, what have you. You would come and see me and file a complaint. And that's very important, I think, in today's age, what we're dealing with in society, where there are situations that have affected individuals' performance in terms of their job or you in the classroom. So you should, as students, know where to come and file a complaint, and then have due process for you, and to have someone who is not biased, but someone who listens to you and can help you maneuver through the process. And that's for everyone, not just students, but our employees, faculty, staff, and as well as students. So you will begin to see more transparency here at the college about sexual assault, harassment information, and if you know of anyone who's in those situations, they would turn to me should you have that. But for me, I think those two jobs that I do are very important and impacts you as students and the growth of this college, and keeps us in compliance and the doors open, because we have to be able to be in compliance and to keep the doors open and not have infractions that impact your learning and your space in which you work. So I hope to never see you, but I want to see you. I do also teach. But know that I have a strong passion for students in learning, and I'm glad that I am here and to be a part of all of this.
I am a captain on the Peoria Fire Department. I've been on, like I said earlier, for about 24 years, 25 years. In a simple terms, we help people. Sometimes we're in a situation where people don't really recognize us, or because they don't really call us until there's something wrong. Usually the fire department is called when there's something wrong, and that's okay. But it's an excellent opportunity to help people. As Demarco talked about, we help people with medical problems, we help people if there's a fire, but we also do other things. We inspect buildings, we try to do community service. There are a variety of things that we do as the fire department, and we try our best not to market ourselves as just firemen, because hopefully most of you won't ever have to see us. But the reality of it is there's a lot more that we do than firemen. In fact, we do much more than fight fires. And so we try to market ourselves as that, but we help people. That's what we do. You know, when you call 911, we get a call and we come. If there's a car accident, we go. If there's a person stuck in the elevator, we go. If your mom's having chest pain, if your sister's having a baby, you know, we go to a variety of calls that people have no idea that we go to. And it's really important, you know, to me, Marco, that people understand that there's value in helping people. Sometimes along the way we forget about that, and I'm very blessed. Our job is, you know, we make a very good salary. But the truth is, the biggest satisfaction I get out of work is helping people, because there's no price for that. There's no price that you can put on helping someone. That's comes from your heart, and the joy and satisfaction that it gives you is priceless. So that's what I really try to tell people. We help people. Don't think of us as firemen, just think of us as helpers. You know, if you have a problem, we really want to come and help you solve it.
You guys also inspect homes, or like you'll come in and do smoke detectors and all that?
We do. We have programs that we put smoke detectors in individuals who aren't able to do it on their own. We have programs where we do CO detectors now to help out. I know nowadays we're really having a major turn with drug epidemics and heroin. We have, you know, it's not a common thing, but, you know, Narcan is something that we carry on our machines. If we get a call, we're able to use that to help people. They have programs now where they're passing it out, and hopefully we're moving in that direction. But we really try to do a lot to help people. We're even, you know, a lot of us on our own, we may go by, if you have somebody who needs some help, you know, look at a problem, look at your home, say, hey, this might be something to help. Because the best way to fight a fire is to prevent it. So we try to do a lot of prevention as well. Fires are down remarkably from years ago, simply because we get out information to inform people things to do, not to do. We do a whole bunch of, we do the fire safe house for the young kids, try to teach them at a young age what to do. I know y'all all know stop, drop, and roll, but other things. If you're in an apartment or a house that has upstairs, do you have a little ladder for the window? We teach the kids stay on the ground, stay low. If the door is hot, don't look out. Once you get outside, don't go back in. Things that we know that, but young kids, they may not know that. They got their Xbox inside. I got my Xbox, or they got a dog or a cat. Those things are important. So education, in those fields, we're trying to help out as well. But really, the biggest thing we do is we help people.
Okay. The next question is, I think it's kind of important, the culture of your organization. Everyone on the panel is like a different type of a company. And sometimes people start particular jobs, and sometimes they'll find that they're not a fit. And so, Alexis, seems like the type of job you have, you're kind of like in the field, but you still have to have really good people skills with the young mothers.
Right. Oh, I'm sorry. But yeah, as far as, luckily with my job, especially at the hospital and everything, I do, for the most part, work by myself. However, I do definitely work with the hospital staff, so like nurses, sometimes even doctors, of course with the parents. And so it is a different, a different culture. Sometimes photographers do work together. Usually on days where we say we have like 15 families that we have to talk to. That's a lot of babies. So there's that. Otherwise, as far as culture-wise, yeah, we just do work together, especially with the nursing staff. We just kind of make sure as far as like times with them, because we don't want to also overwhelm the parents either, because there could be too many people going into the room and then they're upset. But yeah. I think, yeah.
Marco, did you dealing with, I know you've been fairly new with the fire department, but there's a certain culture working for the fire department, being able to have good socialization skills.
That's great. Well, I'll let Captain Davis expound on that, but I'd say service, family, that type of thing, teamwork, and just a betterment of the people we work around and for.
Okay. Making it the Ag Lab.
Yeah, so science in general kind of has a competitive culture because you always want to be on, the cutting edge research and always publishing before someone else. And it's also kind of secretive because you don't want to tell anyone your secrets, right? Because then they'll publish it before you. But the Ag Lab is totally not that way. And I'm really glad because I'm not a competitive person. So the Ag Lab, everyone has their own set project that they work on, and nobody has the same project. So there's no edge of competition between people, and there's a culture of helping and teamwork, and everyone works together and everyone collaborates. And even though there's 5 different units and every unit does something different, so we work with starch and some work with bacteria and some work with plants, there's always that aspect that you can share your knowledge with those people and collaborate. And I've met people who work on totally different things than I do, and we've been able to work together. So it's really nice to have that teamwork and to know that you can go to someone and ask a question and not have them be like, well, I'm not going to tell you my secrets because you might publish before me. But yeah, so that's what I like about the Ag Lab.
Each of you are here at ICC, and I think because our culture is changing, the college remains steady and changing with that culture. So we try to keep up with the trends and technology and meeting the needs of students. So it's a great time to be here at ICC. You see the grants that we have, either solar and I think the solar grant was the most recent one, which will then bring in more jobs here or in the city, and then opportunities for you as students to be skilled in those areas. So I think culturally we are definitely working with the workforce, and when we struggle within the workforce, the city, when there's a struggle in the workforce, then ICC tries to identify how to improve the workforce, work with managers and business owners and collaborate to meet the needs of the community. So when you come here, that you have the classes that you need to make you prepared and ready for the workforce. So I think the culture is growing and meeting the needs that will help you.
John, you have any comments?
At the fire department, we're based upon a paramilitary organization, which kind of starts at the top. and you branch down, and that's how the rules goes. But what makes us different is that we are together for 24 hours a day. So it really gives it a family brotherhood environment, which is really what we try to cultivate. Because at the end of the day, you know, if I'm on the machine, I'm the captain, and Demarco is my hostman, and I have a driver. If we get a fire at any call, we're one unit. We function as one team. So in that time, when there's a lot of downtime, we spend time together, we try to develop a brotherhood, because trust is important. Because at the end of the day, when Demarco masks up, he has to be able to trust that I'm going to get him in there and I'm going to make the safe decision so that he can go home to his family. And I'm going to trust that whatever he has to do, he's going to make sure that I get home to my family. And whoever's my engineer, he's going to do what he can to get us water so we can get home. And when you're in an organization, a group, that builds a culture of trust, which is hard to describe, the type of trust, but in essence, our lives are in each other's hand, whether you choose to or not. If Demarco hated my guts at the end of the day, when we had a fire, we have to be one unit. So we really try to develop a brotherhood on the job. Most of us, you know, we're a third of the year we live together. You know, I mean, we work for 24 hours a day. So when me and Demarco go to work, we're there at 7 in the morning, we're there together till 7 the next day. And in that time, you develop a brotherhood, and it becomes more than just work. It becomes what's going on in my life, what's going on in his life, because those are the things that really bond you and build that trust, so that when it's time for us to move, and I say, DeMarco, I need you to do X, Y, Z, even if DeMarco may not think that, that might not be right, if it's not in danger, he's going to trust, hey, I know JD is not going to tell me nothing that's going to put me in danger, so I'm going to ride with him. And I cannot describe to you the importance of that. You know, in today's society, you know, we don't always trust people, but in our job, we're kind of forced to do that. So I would really say the brotherhood is the biggest culture of our job, you know, for the most part. It's really, we're a pretty tight-knit group of guys. You know, like I said, we're at work, you know, for a third of the year, we live together. So, you know, you live with somebody, you get to know them, you get to understand them, they get to understand you, you know, and don't get it twisted. It ain't like every day is great days. It's like any family. Some days you come in and you in a crappy mood, but when you're with somebody from other time, they understand that. Maybe they, you know, whatever the case is. But as a brother, you understand that. You know when things are good. You know when things are bad. And that's important when we go out there, because once we hit the streets, we can't think about that. We have to just think about the job at hand. DeMarco knows I'm going to do what I got to do, and I know he's going to handle what he has to do, and together, that's what gives the best service for the community. So I would definitely say it's a brotherhood. That's the best culture and the biggest culture in our job.
Okay. Now, this next question, I think the firemen have answered, but how many hours a week, Alexis, do you work, and is there any travel involved in your job?
For the most part, I usually work usually within 40 hours a week. As far as travel, well, like every couple of months, something we do have like a meeting where all the photographers in the Midwest area do kind of meet up just to kind of check in with everyone, see how everyone's work is going. It's not really required, but it is definitely good. We actually have one coming up on Monday, which I'm going to. And usually it's just like we get food, just talk. We have to have any other new business. Otherwise, to kind of avoid travel, what we actually do is like every month we have a monthly conference call. And they're just like, it's a video chat that we usually just kind of talk about, and that's when our manager kind of goes on if we have any new business going on, or just asking if anyone has any questions, need to have any more clarification on anything. But yeah, as far as travel, not really, except for like between hospitals.
Okay. Megan, did you?
Yeah, I work 40 hours a week. It's a government job, so I'm only allowed to work 40 hours a week. And there's really no travel except for if there's a conference or a symposium or something that you want to go to, but there's really no money for that either, so.
Margie?
I work 40 hours a week, and there's a little travel involved, depending on if my supervisor will send me to national conferences to recruit or train within the compliance area. So I've been to, in this job, Florida, Texas, just Chicago, Washington, D.C. So depending on the budget and depending on if you need a full-time faculty member, she may send me out to recruit nationally, but a lot of my travel will be locally. My office is located on the Peoria campus, so when I say travel, I travel between the two campuses a lot, so it does take a little time.
Okay, I'm gonna skip over a few questions. What is the best career path for students to get hired eventually by your organization? Starting with you, Alexis.
Well, if you're interested in being a photographer, I was just, again, just get involved in art and photography. And I say art and photography because while you can do art, while you can just do photography, if you take other different art classes, you also get to learn about different things as far as like color and composition. Those definitely help when it comes to just trying to figure out what kind of art, what kind of photography do you want to do. Because you could do landscape photography, you could do portrait photography. Where I work as far as with newborns, I do mostly portrait photography, but I also do photography outside of that as far as artwork. So I do landscape, I do macro and micro photography as well. So yeah, if you're just interested in doing anything like that, I just say get involved in art, photography, and just kind of expand your brand like that.
Okay.
And ours will be answered by two people, so I'll just save it for
Okay.
later.
John.
For us, nowadays, the most important thing, I won't say the most important thing, but the best thing you should do is start taking some classes, whether it's here or another college, some fire science classes and some type of EMT class. Almost every department, whether it's here in Peoria or nationally, all departments are going to those. We don't just service fire. We service way more medical calls than fire. So it's important for you to get that EMT. Some places you have to be a paramedic, some places you don't. But definitely you want to get your EMT, so you want to start taking EMT classes and start taking some fire sirens classes. I always try to encourage people, if you're really serious about this, whether it's here or another place, go talk to some people. They have programs where you can come. They'll let you ride along and see what it's like, to really see. It's difficult to explain, but you have to be cut out for this job. And, it's, a lot of people, say they want to be firemen, but you don't know until you see it. So, get in. Hey, nowadays you can YouTube it. Talk to some people. Ask, a fireman. Ask them what is a fire really like. It's not like Backdraft. It's not like Chicago Fire. It's nothing like that. So, and I tell people that all the time. Those are TV shows. It look cool on TV. It's nothing like that in real life. So, it's something that you're really interested in. These classes. Take some fire science classes. Take some AMT classes and talk to a fireman. Find somebody. Talk to them. Hey, man, what is it like? What do you do? What is it like? Ask the tough question. What's it like when you go on a call? It's being on a call with a guy that's been shot in the head is not like you think on TV. It's nothing like that. So, and I always try to explain to people, not to discourage them, but you really want to try to make your judgment based on what's the worst case scenario. That's a real conversation that you need to have with yourself. So definitely, do those things. Inquire with someone who knows and take AMT and fire science classes.
I'm going to ask you, Megan, and then Marjorie, and then we have two more questions, and I'm going to open up to the audience to ask any questions.
The best path for you to become a lab tech is to get a degree in science. Doesn't matter what it is, physics, chemistry, biology, geology, astronomy, I don't know, anything, because they all give you the foundations of what you need to do in the lab. So like I said, I graduated with a degree in biology. I did animal research at Bradley, and I work in an organic chemistry lab now. So nothing like what I studied. So you can do anything and become a lab tech, anything science related. And I would also recommend, if you want to go into research, do research in college, because you learn a lot. And it's good resume builder, and people really like experience these days. It seems crazy to not want to hire a college student because they don't have experience, but if you get a little bit of experience in college, it'll help a lot.
Margie?
It depends on, what you're looking for. If you're going to become a faculty member, then you need a degree in the field in which you want to teach. And here, if you want to teach at a community college, for the majority of the part, you have to have a master's degree in that. We have different positions here, and it kind of depends on what you're looking for, and either experience, the degree, and or a combination of both. But I would strongly encourage everyone to live on campus and to be an RA. You hear me. Are you an RA?
No.
Okay, because you've been a couple times. Yeah, it really is the way to go. It's a great leadership opportunity, and you sometimes can get free housing, sometimes. But
And this will be my last question, then I'll open up questions to the audience. What is the most rewarding aspect of your job? I think some of you have hit on some of it already.
Yeah. I'll say the most rewarding one for me is just showing everyone what they look like in a different light. One thing about as far as like any kind of work I do, I like to tell I like my work to tell stories. So I mean, I've done different shoes, of course. Like I work with newborn families, so I kind of tell like that very beginning, especially if there's a new family. I've done different engagement photos, so I kind of capture that, and especially if they kind of just shows that kind of love, or even I've done even different even event photography, so just kind of capturing that. So definitely, I think the most rewarding part for me is just kind of showing people what they look like and showing those raw emotions, because that's something you won't. Like, you can take a selfie, but you won't catch that raw moment of you hearing a guest speaker say something that you never heard before.
And I would have to say the most rewarding aspect of my job is helping others, and while helping others, learning how to help yourself and growing, because when you're helping other people, you learn so much about who you are. So I would say that's the most rewarding aspect of my job.
There's probably two aspects of my job that I find rewarding. The first is being able to collaborate with people, and we collaborate with people not only in our building, but all over the country. And we do a lot of collaboration with Brazil. This past year, we had a visiting research scientist here, and she was amazing. And it's so much fun to be able to collaborate with her and all of her research associates there. And I don't get to travel, but she got to travel, which is cool. And the second part of our job that's rewarding is when our research gets published. I mean, you work so hard for so long, and then it finally is like on that paper, people can read it, and it's amazing.
I think for me, I like the networking, talking to people, meeting new people, and just interacting and creativity. You have to be really creative in this. And I have a lot of autonomy as well, in which I hope my supervisor trusts enough that I can do my job, and she doesn't have to be on me all the time, but that there are some results, and when you see the results and numbers, that's exciting to meet those goals.
As Demarco mentioned, helping people, definitely very rewarding. Can't really put a price on that, and if that's something that you value, this is the job for you. A real world assessment, which is a very honest statement.
Mm-hmm.
My job allows me to provide for my family. And in today's society, as an African American man, that's important. I'm able to provide for my home, and I can't describe to you the value of that. And one day you guys can't get that now, but one day, some years from later, you'll understand the importance of that. And I'm just saying as a black man, but it doesn't matter whether you're black, white, Chinese, whatever you are. The ability to provide for your home, for yourself, that's why you're here. You don't really go to college just so you can just do the next thing. You really want to provide for yourself, or if you decide to have a family, you want to provide for them. And so I'm able to help people and provide for my home. I can't really think of anything that's more satisfying than that.
Okay, I would like to thank the panelists, but I would like to open up to the audience. If you have any questions, now would be the time.
Well, I guess the question for everybody would be, what was one of the challenges you faced in college, and how did you pass it or surpass it?
For me, I can't speak for anybody else. I'm from Chicago, so a small quip to let you know how things go. So I was in Chicago, graduated from school, tops in my class, and it was one or two in my class. And so, as I said, I started out as an engineering class. And so I went to this one class, it's called EE 101, and anybody went to Bradley, New Miller Hall. So it's a basic engineering class. So the first day of class, we go to class, and the teacher puts some stuff on the board, and he says, okay, today we're going to do this quick quiz. It's just a quick review of Boolean algebra. I had never heard of Boolean algebra in my life. Had no clue what Boolean algebra was, nothing. That was the first time I realized I wasn't prepared. I can say, I can't speak for everybody, but being prepared for college is one of the hardest things you'll do. And some of that has nothing to do with where you at. Your schools you go to, obviously there were kids there who knew exactly what Boolean algebra was. And you got to remember now, I graduated second in my class, so it wasn't like I was, you know, a dummy or anything. I'd never heard of Boolean algebra. So I spent a lot of my first years trying to get up to where other people already were. And let me be clear, that wasn't all their fault, because I spent a lot of time tricking off. So that's an honest assessment. But being able to balance that freedom when you get to college, when you get from your mom, your dad, whatever, and ain't nobody gonna make you go to class, and ain't nobody gonna make you study. They just gonna give you a syllabus and say, these assignments are due, this test is during this time, and how do you deal with that? Especially if you aren't prepared for it. I can't speak for anyone else, but that was the biggest challenge for me in college. It took me some years to figure that out, how to balance the experience of college and to learn how to learn. I didn't know how to learn yet. And so a lot of us face those challenges in life. But in college, this is a good place to start that platform to understand that to learning how to learn is important. Once you master that, the rest of it falls right into place. But it took me some time to learn that. And when I went to school, I remember sitting the first day of class, the teacher said, the person to the left of you, y'all might have heard this, and the person to the right of you, not going to be here when you graduate. And that's exactly how it was. It took me 5 years to get out of college, but that's an important thing, learning how to learn. If you don't know something, not being afraid to ask, understanding what you don't know, and understanding how to prioritize between, you know, the education of college, the social life of college, and, you know, and whatever it takes to get done. So I can't speak for anybody else, but that was really the hardest part for me.
I can add on to that too. One of the most challenging things with me was when I graduated from ICC, of course, like I mentioned, I got an associate studying graphic design. And when I went into ISU, I went into graphic design again, and then instead of actually getting, because at ISU you actually have to get accepted into their art program and their graphic design program. And I got accepted to their art program. And then I got rejected from the graphic design program. So I tried again. And I even redid my portfolio and everything, resubmitted again, and then got rejected again for a second time. And I guess one of the hardest things for me was just trying, I think how we mentioned earlier, as far as accepting change and just knowing that it's okay to change your major if you have time, because it's definitely a good time to do it now while you are still learning about what you're good at and everything. So in high school, I was always back and forth on far as photography or graphic design. And that kind of cleared it up, because once I got back into photography and I started actually doing it professionally, then I knew that was my calling. Another thing about it too is also not getting so hung up on the term senior, junior and senior. When you are, because everyone takes their own time. You might not graduate with your friends. I had one extra semester. I still graduated in 2016, but I graduated in the winter. And so not getting so hung up on the terms junior and senior. You might not graduate with your friends. Sometimes you might just need a little bit more time just to make sure you get all your credits, make sure that you are together before you leave, not knowing if you're sure if you're ready or not. Because even when I graduated ICC and I found that I actually could graduate within those 2 years, I was even shocked. Mm-hmm. So definitely I would say, as far as just making sure know what you need to do for you.
I can add to that. The not getting caught up on the terms thing. Don't get caught up on the term transfer student.
That too.
I hate that word. Okay, I transferred. So someone once told me that I wasn't actually going to college because ICC wasn't a real college. How does that work?
Harvard on the hill.
And at the end of the day, it didn't matter that I was a transfer student, because the piece of paper that says I have a degree from Bradley and the piece of paper that said that they had a degree from Bradley was the same piece of paper. But I had another piece of paper that said I graduated from ICC. So, I don't know. What do you say to that? I think it's a good thing that we're transfer students, because we have an experience that those people don't have. And they can't even understand it, which is probably why they make those comments. But don't get hung up on it.
The biggest thing I would say, starting off, going into a four-year school, you go in, you come from high school or you come from ICC, and you are the guy. And when you get to another school, you want to be the guy again. As a man, I know I wanted to be, I want to know everybody. I wanted to be where it was going on, all the parties and stuff. We tell you first and foremost, there's going to be enough parties, there's going to be enough girls, there's going to be enough boys, there's going to be enough of everything for you all your 4 years. Make sure as soon as you touch that ground, you hit it hard, you hit it running. Make sure you're not playing around, because if you mess up early, all that partying that you want to do and enjoying the true, benefits of college, you won't be able to do it because you're going to be trying to catch up. So one of the reasons I came back to ICC was because I missed that FAFSA deadline, because I was, too busy doing sports and having a good time. I missed the deadline, so I couldn't afford to go back. And it could have been a bad thing, but luckily I was helped by here. So when I did go back, I made sure on my Saturdays after a football game, if I had a paper to do, I would take care of it that night and then sacrifice party. Or if I wanted to know, I knew we were having a big game and there was going to be some good parties afterwards, yeah, I went. But I made sure that Thursday and Friday, I was doing nothing after practice but my homework. And don't be scared to go to tutors. Like our team, we were big on going to tutors, and we were big on, staying after and, doing the things that people are, you lame for going to that. Are you really? You went to that class for you stayed after that long for what? You could have been with us in the cafeteria or something. No, every day I'm going to my professor because they get paid to help me. I'm gonna use all of those benefits, every single one of them. So that was big for me, managing time and prioritizing.
I was that student who you come into college on academic probation, or that, what do you call that? You don't.
Caution link.
Yeah, because I can't take those standardized tests and can't take them today. So I had a pitiful ACT score, but I had a high GPA in high school. I'm sitting at home, got that call from the recruiter from Western because I was going to the Army. Come with us. I ended up at Western. And so I came in on, what is it called, academic probation?
It's almost like
Yeah, I had to make sure I had a 2.0. That was challenging because that was scary. I surpassed that. But in the interim of that, to walk into college with that pressure of you need to perform in order for you to stay here. I was that student. And if you were that student in high school and you are that student here and you have to perform, or if it takes you longer, you can absolutely do it. I did well. I graduated when I was supposed to. I went to graduate school, and I didn't leave college. I'm working on my doctorate right now, and if they gave me, if my doctorate required me to take the GRE, or if I had to take some kind of standardized test, I would quit because I still can't take those tests. But you find what works for you and how to study, and sometimes that pressure of you need to perform will help you get through. And it was a hard freshman year. I got all C's and an S in University 110. That was that S back in the day. And I have a daughter now at Western who just finished her first semester, and I looked at her grades and I'm like, wow, I wish I could have did that, because she got all A's and B's. But it may not work for you in terms of test taking, but figure that out. Like you said, go to tutoring, go find the resources on campus. I absolutely had to do that, and I had to work hard for those C's. But I figured it out that second semester, and then I pulled my GPA up. And if that's all C's is a 2.0, that's hard to bring up beyond a 2.0. I graduated with a 2.75, and that's not the best, but that was 4 years from that 2.0 trying to pull that up. So it was hard. It really was. And just, I don't know why I'm in school today, but
Because you want to go further. You want to move up.
I want more money.
More money. That's it.
That's what
Hamburger. Hamburger.
Anyone else? Oh, he has a question.
I have a question for Megan. Do you have any pro tips for people like me who want to be in the science field?
Yeah. What field do you want to go into?
Well, I've been looking into stuff about astronomy.
Astronomy. Okay, that's really cool. I just read this article this morning about this guy who's a locksmith, and he has a telescope in his house, and he caught something that no scientist has ever seen yet. So if you have the drive and you're really interested in it, go for it. Like, don't let anyone tell you that, like, astronomy, why are you doing astronomy? That's not cool. It's cool, I assure you. And just, you know, chase your dreams, I guess. I wanted to be a dentist, and I figured out that that's really boring. And research is awesome. You're always learning new things, and if you always want to learn new things, you'll succeed.
Anyone else have any questions before we close out? Well, I would like to thank the panelists for taking out their time to be with us. I thought it was extraordinary. And I also like to thank the audience for coming. Let's give our panelists